Howdy folks, I'm Kanaju, and I don't have a script today. And that's because this is the first episode of a new series I'm calling MASS ANALY-SASS. Pretty catchy, huh? It doesn't sound stupid at all. So if you're wondering what MASS ANALY-SASS is, basically, I take a look at a singular aspect of a game, and I examine it in bulk. So the obvious example is this episode. I'm looking at 32 freighter interiors, and I'm doing this so that I can look for variation, I can look for oddities, I can look for, patterns, all kinds of stuff like that. See what's procedural, see what repeats, and maybe learn something from it, right? So if that sounds exciting to you, let's get going. Alrighty. I have no idea how long this will take to go through 32. This might be a very bad idea. Let's see here. Alright, so this first freighter, I think this was the first one I ever saw post-endurance. So as you can see, it was a weird one. It's like full of windows and hallways that don't go anywhere. At this point, I assumed that all freighter interiors were going to be very procedural. But as you'll see, that might not be the case. Ooh, cool decal though. See, I love little details like that. So here's the second one, and obviously completely different. Uses the aquarium to great effect. I love the look of this room. And I love how, again, I love the windows on these freighters. That's like my favorite part of these new building pieces. Well, that or these plant rooms. I also like the symmetrical layout of this. It feels very, space age Art Deco type of thing. Plus, I don't know if you can place 2 aquariums in a freighter naturally. Let me know in the comments if you can or not. But I remember at one point you couldn't. So, that's pretty cool to see. Man, it walks slow. Alright, so here's another one. And this is cool because I wasn't expecting them to have exterior spaces. Which, it makes perfect sense that they do. But I love the idea that this one's sort of like under maintenance or under construction, so it feels kind of unfinished. And at the time, I remember when I found this, I was thinking, man, is this procedural? It's pretty convincing. But then part of me thought, well, it's so well curated. It seems like maybe, it's like a preset sort of interior space. But then, I would look at details like, not this specifically, but I would look at details like that one box in the corner being a different color. And I'm like, oh, is that the procedural generation? And so here we have a completely different layout, which I love that they use different tables, different room types. It's a really good showcase of what you can do with these new freighter building pieces. And I also love that they, change the color of all the walls. And they use different parts from different, eras of the game. I love that they use this desk as well. So, at this point, I'm still pretty bright-eyed and bushy-tailed, so I'm looking at everything. I'm impressed. I think I was doing this in my This Is Why I Don't Stream video. So I was actually chatting with my friend the entire time. But I love the look of this room. The idea, you can tell with a lot of these, they sort of had like a narrative in mind. So that space has, 2 command terminals and a scanning room. So the idea is that's sort of the command center. Or I guess the rear command center of this freighter. So here we are, number 5. And this one's really cool. You notice that light right there, which you get from derelict freighters. But then you also have all these lockers and these shelves and boxes and crates and the heater. And these are all parts you get from procedural freighters, or the derelict freighters. So, in a sense, I kind of consider this like a prequel freighter. Like, this is the kind of freighter that would eventually become derelict, right? It's got all the same building parts. And I love that they laid that out. I guess you could almost consider that an Easter egg. Got the ladder just like you would in one of those derelict freighters. And then up here, we have the beginnings of what could be an infection, which I'm pretty sure you know how that ends. But I love the layout of this freighter. It's big enough that it actually has NPCs, unlike the other 4 freighters we've looked at. And then it also has an exterior space, which, hey, we don't have these in derelicts right now, but what if we did? That'd be pretty cool. So I also tested all the elements. You know, you've got the heater that works. You can open these, but sadly they don't give you anything. It would have been cool though if you could like go on civilian freighters and loot their lockers and things, but of course they're just the build parts, so they don't really have any procedural loot in them. But hey, it's worth a shot, right? We need to test these things. Alright, so this one is actually the freighter you get when you start the Polestar expedition. It's pretty unique. It has a grow room with plants pre-installed. It has this, you know, glass walkway. It's kind of a weird layout, I have to admit, but it's also the only time I've ever seen it. I think this is a really cool little element. It's cool to see them sort of combining things and showing new players, you know, what they can do with the build parts. Has a little exterior space. It's a pretty cool freighter to start with. I'm not sure if this layout is in the procedural pool or if it's just for players starting the Polestar expedition or not, but I'm glad I recorded it either way. Alright, so number 7 we have, oh, another one of these. So as you can tell at this point, or as you can probably tell yourself, these actually aren't procedural interiors. They kind of feel like procedural interiors. They kind of seem laid out a little bit haphazardly, but once you visit enough of them, you start to realize that these interiors do repeat across different star systems. So from what I could tell, I've only found, I think, a couple of layouts per star system. It might vary more than that, but typically after I find 2, I move on to the next system if I'm looking for freighter interiors. And as you can see, I moved through here pretty quickly, realizing, oh, it's pretty much the same thing. Love that heater though. So yeah, a bit disappointed that they're not more procedural, but the fact that there's so much variety within the presets is pretty impressive, and it does allow them to tell fun stories like this one, which is, like I said, like a prequel to the derelict freighters. Almost kind of ominous, you know, seeing the crew walking around and realizing they're likely doomed. Doomed! Alright, number 8. And, well, we've seen this one before too. Although I've got to say, I love the screen space reflections for the aquariums. I love all the lighting effects and things that they've been adding, but the screen space reflections, especially in this update, I mean, they make a world of difference. Also, again, I just love the view out those windows. It's beautiful. But again, we've already seen this one, so we should get to moving. Alright, number 9 is identical. Very exciting. But again, you can't beat that view. Number 10. So this one's a bit different. It's actually a pretty cool layout, I have to say. So it has these huge growing rooms on either side, but they're not as symmetrical as the other one. And also, as you can see, you have crew around here. Here you can see this footage is a little old because it has the old cooking station there. Number 11. Sorry, I didn't get too much footage of that last one. This one's a pretty intricate build. It's got all kinds of different utilities. It has these interior and exterior spaces, which was pretty cool to see. Let's see here. Yeah, we have exocraft, a steam engine for some reason. Or I guess you could say it's a pump. All kinds of random bits and bobs. But, I mean, I think it works. It's pretty cool. Gasoline generator on a spaceship. I guess that makes sense. Seems like an exocraft-focused spaceship, actually. Or freighter. Due to all the terminals they have there. And again, stellar extractor and a large refiner, which is pretty cool. Not a bad starter freighter. And then, oh, I guess I recorded some more footage here of me actually escaping the confines of that little base. Which, I wonder if there's something you could do with this, since now you can jump off of civilian freighters, not just your own. So here we have a different layout. We have a little command room, which is pretty cool. And over here we have a cyclonic lathe, I forget what it's called. We have weapons on the wall, a weapon vendor, what looks like maybe ammo stored in those containers. I mean, this feels like it's very much like a combat ready sort of freighter. Like they have their armory in the back, which again, I think it's cool that they can create these certain like personalities in such small spaces. Oh, this is a new one. See, immediately that caught my eye because I couldn't believe it. Like, why would they put a canopy on a starship or on a freighter? And you have out here, you have your little oven, little tea set, plates and stuff. It's kind of ridiculous if you think about it, because I mean, I guess you're gonna take off your helmet outside and have a sip. Maybe they have some kind of force field around it. But it's a pretty sizable freighter they have here. I like the use of windows, these platforms. Interesting place for a drafting table, but I suppose there's a lot of inspiration to be found in the vastness of space. Can you imagine though, your pencil rolls off that table and just floats away? But yeah, it's a pretty cool build here. Oh, and we're back here again for number 14. So what I was saying about this with the sort of world building was Hello Games, because it's a procedural world, you don't see too much environmental storytelling from them. So it's pretty cool that they use these as an opportunity. Number 15. It's the perfect freighter. I don't know what to tell you. Number 16. So this one probably looks a little familiar as well. So I'll just skip ahead. Alright, number 17. Oh, so it's this one again. But yeah, it's cool to see Hello Games sort of crafting these interior spaces. They serve as a pretty fun reward for those that, take the time to actually board and explore all of these freighters floating around. So I really appreciate it. And here we are at this one again. As you can see, some of these seem to be more common than others, but that might just be my game. For some people, this might be the rarest freighter interior, and they haven't even seen it yet, even after 100 freighter visits. But that's the beauty of RNG, isn't it? Alright, so this one, I guess I missed the beginning of the footage, but it just has this huge platform outside, which made it feel procedural, because it's like, what's the point of this, right? And then you have this hallway that doesn't go anywhere. And then over here you have another platform. So this felt very procedural because it just seems unfinished, asymmetrical, kind of randomly generated. But after visiting the other freighters, we know it's not procedurally generated. See, I still love this one. I don't care how many times I walk through it. It's a beautiful little freighter layout. The captain should be very proud. And of course, again, this is another one of those common ones. I should just fast forward through this. You can tell I start walking faster because I'm like, oh, okay, I've definitely seen this one before. Yeah, next. Oh my gosh. And then, yeah, this is just the same one again. As you can tell, I'm getting increasingly more impatient with these duplicates. Oh, although I do decide to test this, and yes, you can use these civilian freighter planetary probes to scan the entire solar system, which is pretty cool. Oh, and then here I am at number 23. This one, I think this is a new one. It looks a lot like the first one I went to, but the first one I visited didn't have a ladder. I do love all the windows though. Interesting. So it does have that same decal like my first freighter did, and it has that box in the corner. I'll have to watch the footage, but it seems very similar to my first freighter, except this one has a ladder. Maybe they are procedural to an extent. Maybe they're small variations that can occur. Although this is pretty cool. I love the idea of just having like this one room that opens up to almost like the roof, I suppose. It's pretty cool. Yeah, now I definitely need to rewatch the footage of that first one. Because this seems very similar to that one. Alright, so heading back down the ladder. Yeah, such a weird layout. But it has that red decal and that green screen. So I'll just have to double check. Oh, that's a good shot though, isn't it? Man, these freighters look so cool. Hello Games really outdid themselves with this one. Alright, again with the weird start to the footage. Oh, but this is one that we saw earlier with the weird one discolored box. Yeah. I guess 2 discolored boxes. But again, this feels like it could be procedural because it looks so haphazardly constructed. But no, it's apparently not procedural. But it feels like it could be. Maybe it will be in the future. Ooh, now this is a new layout. I like those planters. Ooh, yeah, it has some exterior spaces. Interesting layout. That's a really weird layout. Feels like I would get lost. I like how that looks like you have a scientist there, but it's just an NPC checking the science console. It works though, because it's a Corvax. It's pretty cool to see these NPCs out here. Yeah, this is a pretty interesting freighter layout. See, so even 25 freighters in, we're seeing something new for the first time. Which, it just goes to show, you know, you might feel like you're seeing the same things repeating and that there's only like 4 or 5 different layouts. But in reality, I mean, it's possible RNG just hasn't shown you some of the rare ones. Number 26. And let me know in the comments if you see any differences between this one and the other ones, because I don't think I've seen any difference in any of these, other than what's outside the window, of course. Still, I'll never get tired of them. So beautiful. Number 27. Oh, is this like a full walkthrough of that one we just saw? Yeah, it also has a trade terminal. Pretty cool. Here we go, a better view of the full layout. What's interesting about this is you see there's just like that light floating there. That looks very procedural, like something didn't line up, but apparently someone at Hello Games forgot to move that light to where it needs to be, so it's just one of those quirks. Yeah, so cool. And then also, I think I noticed that one door is orange, but the rest are blue. They forgot to recolor it. It's just one of those things. What is this? Is this a new layout? Interesting. Huh, it is a new layout. See, again, 28 freighters in. It's something new. That's really cool. I'd forgotten about this. And this is my gameplay footage. Number 29. Now, what may surprise you about this one is that I actually go to the right instead of the left, which is sort of like user-created variation, you know? It's a different experience for sure, seeing it from the right to the left. Definitely changes things. Very cool. Alright, number 30, and we're back at this one. Yes, sir. My favorite armed freighter. Wonder if they make their own ammo. Oh, and then we're back at this one for number 31. Is this the one I think it is? Ah, it's this one. Yeah, the one that's like, you know, I don't have nicknames for all of these, but I call this one the prequel. I just think that's appropriate, you know? Then finally, number 32. we finally get a better look at this one, which we saw, I think, once earlier. And you can see it has the updated food processor. I love the little trough in the corner. It's the kind of thing I wouldn't have thought of, but it totally fits. And yeah, I love that this is a symmetrical layout, but that the objects within the rooms are slightly different, including that food processor. So it makes it feel like, yes, like the freighter was designed a certain way, but then the crew outfitted it to fit their needs. But that is number 32. That's the final one. So I hope you enjoyed this look at 32 procedural, quote-unquote, procedural freighters. I learned a couple of things while making this video. First of all, it seems like there may be some variation in there that's somewhat procedural. Let me look at that footage again real fast, just to make sure I'm not kidding myself. Yeah, this looks like a similar layout. Oh my gosh, there is a ladder there. I think I just missed it like an idiot because I was looking out the windows. Well, it's a good thing I double checked. Okay, so yeah, it seems they're not procedural, but that's okay. Another thing I learned was in multiplayer, sometimes me and my friend would see different freighters when visiting the same freighter, so we'd see different interiors. And so we would see each other on the freighters, but obviously the environments we were interacting with were completely different. And then I also noticed that the exteriors of freighters, well, they were supposed to have been improved. I'm pretty sure there's more variation in booster type now. So I know some of these boosters had been used for like the kind of like the fake freighters that accompany the capital ships, but I'm pretty sure, now please correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure you could only get freighters with this kind of booster originally, because this is the kind of booster you see on all the crashed freighters, all the derelict freighters. But now we have this like 3 booster one, we have this cool retro 4 booster one, have this kind of weird layout, which again, it all feels new, but I'm not entirely sure that it is. So let me know in the comments below. I know I saw them in like ancient gameplay footage, but post-release, I'm not sure if we could ever acquire them as actual capital ships. But hey, if you know the answer, do let me know. Thank you for watching episode 1 of MASS ANALY-SASS. Let me know what you thought of this series, if you think it's boring, if you think it's a good idea, what you'd like me to examine next in MASS, you know? Should I look at 25 procedural settlements, or 30 maybe, 10 of each type? Should I look at, 20 space station interiors? I actually have a bunch of ideas, and if you enjoy this kind of sort of watching footage, commenting on it, and looking for variation, I think you'll love my Spelunking in Space series, which is pretty much just this, except it's 6 caves per episode. I just pick a system that has 6 planets and or moons, and I visit the caves of each one. So it's completely random. I don't know what I'm going to get before I start recording, and it actually turns out pretty well. There's a lot of cool variation in caves that I think is underappreciated. So again, if you enjoy looking at variation and seeing all the different little, combinations and stuff, definitely check out Spelunking in Space. And guys, before I let you go, thanks again for the support. Thank you so much for helping me to get my first sponsor ever, Hello Games, who sponsored my last video about my 15 favorite moments, my 15 favorite memories since No Man's Sky launched. It's part of their 6th anniversary celebration, and if you haven't watched it yet, please do. Like, I know YouTubers are always asking people to watch their videos, but specifically this is my first ever sponsored video, so, if it does well, maybe there might be, so, please give that a watch if you're interested, of course. I don't want to bore you or guilt you into it. But if you do watch it, there's also like a special link. And if you click that link, it'll make you happy. It'll make me happy. It'll make them that hired me happy. And the world will be a better place for it. My words, not Hello Games, of course. But thanks again for all your support. and I'm looking forward to what's next. So thanks again. Leave a like if you liked it. Leave a dislike if you disliked it. And subscribe if you want more random content like this, where I dive deep into the most insignificant details for extended periods of time. I'll see you in the next video. Bye!